So welcome everybody. My name is Araceli and I'm the program coordinator for Biomedicine. But probably all of you are wondering what is biomedicine. So I will start with that. Yes. And now it doesn't work. All right. Do you see the, yeah.
Yes, health sciences.
Okay, so biomedicine is the study of the healthy and diseased human biology. We always ask this question to ourselves: what causes the diseases, and how can they be diagnosed and prevent? So we integrate knowledge from the molecular level to the whole human body. And what we try to understand is how genetics, lifestyle conditions, and environment plays a role into the health of the human, right? And then during this program, you will actually learn how to independently identify and analyze different medical issues in biomedicine, and, as I said, focused on the current diseases. Yes, so our bachelor program, as Andrea said before, is located at the Health Science School, and the area of health sciences include different programs that are linked to our program: biomedicine, public health science, nursing, reproductive health, sexual health. And in this school, there are 3 programs at the bachelor level and 5 programs at the master level. Yes. So this is what you can see as a cover for our program in the website. So you can access this through the university website. And the biomedicine bachelor program is 180 credits divided into 3 years. And this is the outline for the program. All right. This outline is showing the different years, and then we go from the basic knowledge in biomedicine and health in the first year to a more in-depth and specialized knowledge at the end of the program, which is a cause and treatment of the disease. The first year you will read courses together with the other departments. So we share our courses, and you can read courses given by other departments like the molecular biotechnology or the molecular bioinformatics. Yeah. In the second year, you have more specialized courses, and it's very popular, our course in human physiology and metabolism, where you will study, as it says, the physiology of the human body. But this course is more active learning based, so the students will take the lead about learning how the human body functions. And then we have a really nice lab where we study the metabolism of glucose in our cells. In the third year, you have different courses, but now it comes to the specialization of the program, and this program is pretty much focused on genetics, human physiology, but at the end, it will be more specialized into the tumor and stem cell biology, let's say cancer, and also pathophysiology and pharmacology. And then at the end of the program, you have the opportunity to do a thesis work. The thesis work can be either on place. We offer a thesis work on place, but you can also find your thesis anywhere in Sweden or anywhere in the world. Yeah. And let's talk about what is famous about our program. And one of the main topics, the main famous points, is that we have different opportunities to study abroad. Our program has become very international, so most of our students travel somewhere to do their thesis and their different courses. And we had a special part of the program allocated, which is not mandatory, to travel abroad and to have the opportunity to do that without losing the points requirement, right? And that's in the second year, at the second part of the second year that you see here, where other courses like neurobiology, nutrition, and professional development are located. Yeah? Okay. I have to say that our program has become very popular. This year we had 500 total applicants, and it was 245 first-hand applicants for the international round. It also has been ranked at the program in the University of Hoofddijk with the highest admission points. So I'm proud to say that it's one of the most popular programs. And what I'm showing now is the student evaluation from last year. This evaluation was done at the end of the year for first year students, second and third year students. And it was divided into different fields, as you can see. And the average score is ranked from 1 to 4. And most of the fields that we asked about were around 3.5, 3.2. Yeah, and one of the most appreciated points of our program was the possibilities of studying abroad and the internationalization of the program, as you can see. So these are some comments of the students highlighted in pink and blue. For example, one student say there were a lot of in-depth courses, more in-depth than I expect, which helped me narrow down what I wanted to do as a career, and it ended up being really fulfilling. Yeah, those evaluations are available for anyone to look at. So if you want to know more, you can just ask me. Yeah. Let's go to the career opportunities. So a biomedical scientist is a generalist, and I say scientist because the main path is to become a scientist, is to become a researcher. That's the main path, all right? But you can also be in academia teaching, and you can also work in a pharmaceutical industry or different biotech companies, or why not start your own company? Yeah. And this is a table that I have prepared with the main career opportunities after doing the bachelor. Okay. And that's very important because usually biomedicine students are lost when they finish or when they start. They don't know where they can apply only after the bachelor. And then we have that most of our students without any further education choose or have works as a research assistant or lab technician. Okay, and that's the work of assisting with experiments, maintain lab equipment, data collection, and so on. Then there are other pathways. Another one is to work in clinical diagnosis at the hospital labs, but for that you need an extra education of 1 year to become what is called biomedicine analytic or biomedicine's analytiker in Sweden. Okay, that can be another pathway if you want to work at the hospital doing routine analysis. And then, of course, we always recommend, and our students normally go to a master, okay? And then after the master, there are much more opportunities. You can choose to do a PhD, okay? Or you can choose to work at the academia as a teacher. Okay? But if you have more questions, I'm free to answer you later on. Yes. And of course, we have the biomedicine bachelor program, but there is a natural way of continuing here at the university in Hoofddorp, and we have a master program in biomedicine. So if you liked how our program was built and you like the topics in our program, we have the opportunity to give you this biomedicine master program afterwards. And this program starts on spring, okay? And then it is just 1 year master program, so it's what we call magister here. And then this 1 year master program will be more focused on genetics and also on biomedical tools and basic bioinformatics knowledge to do the different analysis that we require as scientists in our field. Yeah, so this is my contact information. For any questions regarding the study plan, how the program is built, and so on, you can always ask me. And then there is always the admission office taking care of the admission requirements. If you, for example, have some questions about, okay, what requirements do I need, how many points I need, and so on, they can answer you faster than I can do. And thank you so much for your attention. Yeah.
Thank you, Araceli. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was, I hope everyone could have an idea what they can study and even future later on after they graduate from the program. Let's continue with John. I think there are some questions here, but we can take them later on. John, can you please, the floor is yours now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, in presentation style. Yes, okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, so I will be covering molecular biodesign and also the bioinformatics, but first I will start with molecular biodesign. Here is my contact details here if you need them, but of course Andrea will no doubt share them at the end of the presentation as well, or in some kind of follow-up. So what is molecular biodesign? Molecular biodesign, to me, is, I think, a very fun process because it's a concept of understanding biology and then from that understanding, engineering something new, for example. So we understand what happens naturally inside a cell, a bacteria, a yeast, humans, and then think, okay, how can we change this so that we can then apply it to maybe a different situation or make something better? So it can be applied into industry, healthcare, or maybe conservation of the planet, for example. So the aim is to create new biological systems, new properties that can make the world a better place, improve healthcare systems, things like that. So in this quick example, we have like making environmentally friendly biofuels, targeted cancer therapies, or agricultural solutions. And those are completely different things. And that's what I think is also exciting about molecular biodesign is that it's so diverse. And if you have an interest in agriculture or healthcare with humans, then this program works for both of those people. An example of this, to put it into context, is in the 1950s, for example. Everyone, I assume, is aware of diabetes and the need for insulin. How they used to get insulin for people with diabetes is that they would grind up lots of pig pancreases from slaughterhouses and try and isolate just the insulin to then give to people with diabetes. And you can see the huge number of pig pancreases that are needed to just produce a tiny amount of insulin. And I think you'll agree here, that doesn't look very efficient. So instead, this is where molecular biodesign comes in. The gene for producing insulin is easily added to a small biological DNA piece called a plasmid. And then we can insert those plasmids inside of E. coli, a simple bacteria that's really easy to grow. So we have a protein chain B and a protein chain A, and we put them into different E. coli. And then we keep them in these vats, these big vats here, and we're just growing lots and lots of E. coli. And then through processes of harvesting, we just harvest the protein of insulin, and then we have loads of it to use. And no pigs were harmed in the creation of this insulin here, and you can keep this going forever and ever and ever as long as you grow your bacteria, which are very easy to keep. And this is understanding how biology works. How does insulin work, for example? How does it work in the genome? And then making bacteria do the work for us and just harvesting the proteins from the bacteria, which is much more efficient. So it's processes like this, but it could be insulin, it could be glowing genes, for example, that make things glow in the dark, perhaps not as useful as insulin, but it could be other drugs as well, if we want to make other drugs, or making enzymes that make can maybe fix oil spills, for example. It can be anything else. If you're a student and you come to study molecular biodesign, it's a very broad field. As I said, you could be working with cancer therapies, or you could be working in agriculture in the future. And we've tried to have an education that's equally as broad. So you will learn about biological processes, biological organisms. What's the difference between a plant and a human, for example? It's easy to see, but what's happening in the genome? What's happening there? Maybe about growing different kinds of cells. There'll be quite a bit of lab work as well, and data analysis, as you can see from these graphs, and the connections maybe of genes. And it's all about understanding how does the biology work, and then how do your new systems work, or are they efficient in producing proteins that you're interested in. This is how the program looks. So it's a similar setup as Araceli was discussing. In year one, it's very much a foundation, so we're trying to bring everyone to the same level. And we share many courses with biomedicine, for example, but we have some differences as well. We have a color code system here, so the oranges are chemistry, and blues are bioscience focused, so a bit more biology focused. And the yellows are more bioinformatics, and this is using computers and data analysis. And then the darker the color, the more complex that the course is, so it's a higher level. So in the first year, you're learning the basics about evolution, microbiology, genetics. We also have, of course, general chemistry, the basic level chemistry to understand the next step. Year two, we're looking more about specific processes that can happen within the lab, doing some genetics in the lab as well. And then we're moving towards biochemistry, which is a bit more of a specialist chemistry area in regards to biology or biological organic molecules. We also will teach you how to write papers as well, and how to write research papers. In the second half of the year, you're going into deeper into Python, and we're quite excited to make some changes this year. So this is a new updated program. And this year we will have, when you are joining, we will have Python mandatory programming courses. And this is really good for the future, because it means that if you want to go on to further studies, for example, or you want to go into work and you have to work with data quite often as scientists, you will understand how to manipulate this data, or to learn even more programming skills. So programming skills for biologists are really in demand. So this is why we've included it into this program. We have molecular biodesign, where we will make glowing organisms. And then in the final year, you're really going up an extra step here. So Molecular Biodesign 2 is a fantastic course that has CRISPR, genetic modifications. And CRISPR is in huge demand, and maybe you saw it won the Nobel Peace Prize a few years ago. And this is something that our students really enjoy this course, because it's a big one, as you see. It takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of time in the lab, but it's also really rewarding and fulfilling, and you're working with real higher end science here. We're going to also have protein biochemistry. So you've got a lot of chemistry, but this is good for the future. And we also have a second eligible course section here. So these two eligible course sections, you have the choice of specializing. So maybe you're interested in infections, maybe more human science here, or maybe you're interested in conservation, or maybe you want to specialize even more in programming. Then you have the choice of choosing between your specializations. And then we have a second section here when again, you can choose something maybe more ecology based or thinking about sustainable practices, or you can choose to advance your bioinformatics skills and your programming skills one level further with another Python course. Finally, your program finishes with a thesis project, and it's similar to what Araceli was saying, that the thesis project is a time when you have your own project and you will work with whoever you find really in an area of interest that you're interested in. So it can be at this university, but it could also be at Karolinska, it could be in Stockholm, it can be abroad in other countries. You can email companies and institutes to ask, could you take a thesis worker and work on whatever they are doing? So it's a really good opportunity to develop skills and be part of a project that you are really, really passionate about. And you can do that here or abroad. So just as an example of how broad this area can be, and you can choose your own path, I suppose, in that sense, there's some thesis workers from previous years. So we had a student investigating fertility of the human ova, the IVF. We had students testing GMO plants. We had students looking at soil microbiome from nature reserves, looking at inflammation and cancer, and also looking at detection possibilities for, I'm going to struggle to say this, dermatophytosis. Oh, I did struggle to say that. But as you can see, it's very, very diverse. And that's super fun for me because you can go in areas that you think is interesting. Our students in the future, they also have diverse career goals. Some of them work for private companies such as Eurofins doing testing, AstraZeneca doing lots of research, drug development. Some work in uni labs, more clinical settings in hospitals, for example. Many of our students do this. And many of our students also go to do further studies or to work as researchers at Gothenburg, Karolinska, for example. Prerequisites, I think Andrea will talk a little bit about that later, so I'm going to skim over this here. Yes. And we also have the studying abroad also. So you're also welcome to study abroad and encouraged. It's a really fun opportunity. I know you might be studying abroad anyway, but you can study abroad for some parts. And I believe there is funding available. And it's, again, another opportunity to expand your network, expand your horizons, have an adventure. And we have some common partnerships that you can follow up with, but you can also find your own as well. So that was molecular biodesign. And now I'm going to discuss molecular bioinformatics instead. And I'm obviously not Sanya, but Sanya is the program leader, but she's not available at the moment. So bioinformatics is what I've previously discussed, but with more computer focus and data focused. So it can be looking at this, I believe, is golden rice, for example, to develop the genes, to plan where should the gene go, for example, what is the expected expression? How did it express that gene? What was the data saying? It can be investigating infections, for example. It can also be used for forensics purposes as well. It can also be looking into inflammation and the effect of drugs in different regions, and especially heavily focused in drug development as well. How does it affect the human being? What is the data saying from those persons' results? So bioinformatics can be anything that we said before in the molecular biodesign, but instead of having a bit of a lab focus, it's very much in the computer focus, in the data realm. If we're looking at the setup of the program, we have year 1, 2, 3 again. And you may notice some similarities. For example, we have cell biology in the first year, basic chemistry, genetics, because again, we're building this strong foundation in the first year. But you see that we have more computer-related things. So introduction to computer tools, for example. Python is now in year 1, for example. And we move on to expression with R, a different programming language, some mathematics. And in third year, we have more programming projects as well. So again, we're doing the same kind of research, but you're looking at the data side of things. And with the thesis work, again, you can do it here at the University of Hertha, or you can find projects abroad or within Sweden as well. The great advantage with bioinformatics is that you are using computers and you do not necessarily need to travel to a lab. So many of our students still work in their house, for example, or sorry, let me rephrase that. They still work from home, but their project might be in Gothenburg or it can be in Stockholm, but they work from home because it's just data. They just need a computer. Bioinformatics is a really fun field. There's not enough bioinformaticians. And that means that when you're thinking about your career afterwards, you are in higher demand because they need more people who can program, who can understand the biology and also understand programming as well and work with AI. So there's a big demand for bioinformaticians in life science, in the industry in general. These are some of our partner companies and companies which our students now work in. And we recently got funding, I think was it 98 million Swedish crowns, I believe it was, for AI research and drug development. So we've got a lot of research money recently, which is really fun to have a precision medicine department that's going to be developed in the next coming years, which I think we will find many of our bioinformaticians will be working in the future. How to decide what you want to do in the future? It's easy, right? No, it's very hard to decide what to do in the future. If you want lab work, I've tried to make it simple, then you want to think about molecular biodesign. We will still have some computing in this program and some chemistry as well. So you've got diverse choices for the future after that. If you want to work only with computers and only with data, then it's clear you should be in bioinformatics. We do also have some students who are taking extra courses with the programs. So I often have bioinformaticians joining me in some molecular biodesign labs, for example, because they just wanted to study something extra and they wanted a bit of lab work as well to spice things up. So we do have a lot of students that sort of hop between courses sometimes as an additional course, which I quite enjoy. Okay, that's all for me. I hope I didn't take too much time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John, for the presentation. Thank you, Araceli and John. So let's check the questions. So if you have questions, please, you still have time to write your questions in the Q&A so that John and Araceli can answer questions about the program, about the courses, about your future career, and all that. So there is Emily's asking, what is the percentage of practical education, like in the lab? So she's asking this for both sides, both for this for biomedicine and for the molecular biodesign.
Yeah, I think it's hard to put a percentage on it, for example. Perhaps I can show like which courses have lab work is maybe easiest to work out. So if I just share my screen again. So here we have the courses from molecular biodesign and our chemistry lab for our chemistry course, for example, features, I think, 5 different lab experiments over the time. Cell biology has a lab which is a whole day lab. This has a whole day lab. This one's not a lab, but you are out in the field quite often. Microbiology has a lab. I think that's all the labs first year for me. And then in the second year, this, I believe, doesn't have a lab, but this one has a lab that maybe lasts over a week. This has multiple labs. Molecular biodesign has 2 weeks of lab, for example, and data analysis after that as well. Molecular biodesign is another 3 weeks in the lab. This will also be lab work as well. So I can't give you an exact percentage of how much during your whole studies you would have lab work, but I think you can understand there's a lot of lab work there. You will be very familiar with how a lab works and how many items of equipment work in the lab. I hope that answers some of your question.
Thank you, John and Araceli in the program.
Yeah, I'm just trying to share my presentation now. Do you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the same as John explained. It's very difficult to say the percentage. We have a good amount of lab work. The first year, we have labs, of course, in this course that is given by the molecular biodesign department. Then you will also have a lab in Introduction to Biomedicine. This lab is a short lab. It's a PCR polymerase amplification reaction lab. It takes around 2-3 days. Then you will also have lab into the immunology and infection biology course. The second year, the same. I believe that you have labs in the biochemistry, and then in the human physiology and metabolism is a more physiology lab, which is more towards understanding the effect of different diets in yourself. So you measure the different diets intervention on yourself and come to a conclusion. So it's not a wet lab with different techniques, but it's more about measuring directly changes on yourself. And then we have I think the neurobiology and exercise physiology. Once again, is a physiology lab where you will get to do exercise and find out, okay, which proteins are increased or decreased in your body, how has your cognitive rates improved after the exercise. So yes, pretty much focus about the physiology. And then in the third year, we have more wet labs. For example, the tumor and stem cell biology is you perform a quantitative PCR on different tumor cell lines. Then in the pathophysiology and pharmacology, you also have a lab regarding cell proliferation of cancer. And then, of course, the thesis work. But most of our labs are shorter, so it's usually around from 2 to 3 days to 1 week most, okay? And it's more focused on physiology than in about method design and optimization, which is more, what John presented for his program. Yeah.
I have a question about these. Sometimes the labs are very long, right? Sometimes the students, they need to arrive early in the morning at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and stay there until 8 o'clock in the evening, the whole day, right? And I know that this is not every day, but sometimes it happens. I don't know if it's at bachelor's level or master's level, but we have seen that. Madalena has, sometimes it seems that she lives in the lab, right? I don't know.
But this is how a researcher life looks like, right? Or a person working in the lab cannot select the schedule.
Yes, true.
5 to perform an experiment. Experiments are quite low, of course, but it's very enjoyable, I think, to see the results and to be able to discuss them afterwards. Yeah. So,
thank you so much, Araceli and John. And I don't know if the problem is here. I have a little bit of delay in the sound, but there is a question here that I think it's, I'm going to take this because before we continue to the others, which program has high competition to get into? I think it's interesting to mention because you both showed the courses, the course grid from both programs. There are many courses that overlap both from biomedicine and molecular biodesign. I would say that the core courses are kind of the same, right?
In the first year, yes. Yeah.
In the first year. Yes, exactly. So I want to answer you. Ruth is asking which program has high competition to get into. All programs have high competition, but the one that has higher competition is biomedicine. So if you're applying to biomedicine here at the University of Havre, I always recommend you to put a molecular biodesign as your second option because the courses are very similar, right? Especially in the first year. Okay, so that's what I recommend. I work at the international office and I am I work with student recruitment. So I give you tips, because not all qualified students in biomedicine, you may be qualified, but maybe there are not seats for everyone. So for you to increase your chances of admission, I really recommend the students to apply also to molecular biodesign and molecular bioinformatics. Okay, so this is question is done, and then let's continue here with the other questions. And I think it's more comments. I have done my intermediate in medicine and got 80% marks. So I will be able to get admission in university. And I also have 76 score in the PTE, but I don't know any Swedish language. I was checking here. Oh, we're going to talk about the admission results later. Okay. There are specific web pages with information for the country that you have studied your high school studies, okay? And I'm gonna talk about this later on during this webinar. It's almost in the end of the webinar I'm gonna talk, but we're recording it and we're gonna send it to you later, the link. Maybe not today, definitely not, but maybe tomorrow, next week, we're gonna send you the link to YouTube. So yeah, but she says that I don't know any Swedish language. No problem, because the programs we're talking about are fully in English, okay? And here in Sweden, it's something that you don't need to speak Swedish in order to succeed here, to thrive. Of course, if you're going to get a job, it's always good that you know some Swedish, know some. And I was thinking here from outside, the only Swedish person is Sarah. Sarah is the only Swedish,
Yes,
Sally
true.
moved to Sweden, right, to study. John moved to Sweden to study. Madalena and myself as well many years ago. So it's very international, and you don't need to know Swedish in order to study here, right? And if you go out on the street, and everywhere you go, everybody speaks English. So let's continue. I would also like to ask how much is the tuition fee? We're going to talk about this later, okay? And about scholarship possibilities and so on. I'm going to talk later. For the biomedicine faculty, there is this question here. Is there further study linking connected with Lund or Karolinska Institute? If yes, what are the criteria for applying? So do you have cooperation with Lund or Karolinska Institute, Araceli?
yeah, sorry, my internet got blocked for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Is it the question about Lund or Karolinska?
Yes, the second question in the Q&A.
Yeah, of course you can further study in Lund or Karolinska. There are different master and magister programs in biomedicine if you would like to apply. The different programs have different criteria. I don't know the criteria by hand, but probably you can search for the criteria at the university website. But I know many students that have continued studying at the master level in Lund or Karolinska. Yeah, definitely.
Possibility of doing the thesis work in other Swedish universities also. Do you have students who do that?
Exactly. Many students find different research groups by themselves in Karolinska and also in Gothenburg. I have not heard about some theses in Lund, but probably yes. But the most contact places are, Karolinska and also Sahlgrenska at Gothenburg. So, there is a way of connecting with those universities for, different career perspectives. Yeah.
Thank you, Araceli. What about you, John? What about your program? You mentioned that students can go abroad, but which university?
We often have that. Yeah, we often have students who go abroad, sometimes back to their home country to study, to do their thesis work because they want to take what they've learned and bring it back home, and because it's, why not? And we also have many, and again, I'm not sure about Lund, not so often. I think it's maybe just not quite on the train line. But yes, with Gothenburg and Stockholm area, and also many others in between as well. Also, there are thesis workers. I'd say maybe over half of the students do their thesis work with a company or other university or research institute, roughly.
Yeah, for us it was last year, it was almost half of the students that did the thesis outside of the program and outside the Höfte. Yeah.
Thank you. Great. There is another question here. I'm interested in bioinformatics, but confused about it. It's mostly about computer programming and data. Is it something that can be replaced with AI in the future? Or can you please rank these programs according to recommendations?
Yes, there's also another question there that says about bioinformaticians are in high demand, but how's it going to be when they release generative or super intelligent AI? Well, that's a very good question, and I don't think anyone knows. Once super intelligent generative AI comes out, maybe we won't have jobs either. We can all relax. There's hoping. No. Yes, AI has changed how bioinformatics works for sure. Before you needed to know coding like another language, and you needed to be able to code directly using that language. AI has made that much easier now. Maybe a bit too easy in some ways, but there's still a gap between AI and understanding biology. Quite often you can get the AI to, analyze some data, but quite often it will do things strange, or it doesn't really relate to the actual biology happening behind the scenes, or what you should really do when you've read some other papers and the experts in the field are saying, no, don't do this, you should do it this way. AI often makes mistakes in that sense. So the AI in bioinformatics program, the bioinformatics program teaches you about the biology and the programming together. So you understand contextually, what am I looking for? How should I analyze this data? What is the best way of doing that? AI often says the fastest way of doing that, which isn't always the best way of doing it. And also the context of like, do those results actually make sense in a biological setting? With the generative AI and how AI is going to change in the future, it's hard to say exactly, but I don't see that as a negative. I see that as a positive because it means you can work with AI to, like, AI is such a hot topic now that they want more bioinformaticians who understand how AI works and understand structurally how you put in data and use AI to generate biological outcomes which are actually correct. So doing doing a bioinformatics degree is really good because you'll be working with AI. You're not in competition with it. You're working with it to make even better clinical decisions or scientific decisions. So I don't think you'll be replaced. I think it just changes and you're in more demand because you need to be able to understand it. I hope that was clear, not just my ranting.
Yes, there is a part of this question here. Can you please rank these programs according to recommendations? And I don't know exactly what the person means. Um, mm,
I don't think you can rank them because they're different and it depends on your desires. Like, I think biomedicine, and feel free to interject, Araceli, if you think so, but biomedicine is more human focused and thinking about human biology and how does cancer work in humans, for example, and how is that whole human system working together? Whereas biodesign is more about maybe humans, maybe, but also about cells and about bacteria and plants and genetics within those organisms as well, and how we can use those for humans, but also maybe something else as well. And bioinformatics could be working with humans, it could be working with other stuff as well, because it's data. Data is just data, but you understand the biology as well. So I think it depends on your desires as students, what you're interested in. If you really want to go down the human route, then maybe biomedicine's a bit better. If you want to go down more medicine route and humans, but if you want to be humans, but other options too, and understand to create new molecules or new systems, maybe biodesign's better.
thank you. Um, so there is another question. Does the University of Havre have partnerships with other institutes or industry and help students to get jobs after completing their degrees? Basically, I want to know about the opportunities and benefits we will have after completing a degree from Havre.
Yes. Okay, this is a very tricky question. We don't have actual partnerships or contracts with the industry to get our students working after doing the bachelor, but we have a big network, I have to say. For example, via the possibility of studying abroad, we have, as John mentioned before, different partners which are very well known for being good research institutions in biomedicine, biotechnology, molecular biology, for example, or universities, for example, the King's College. We also have contacts with Maastricht University. We also have contacts with Max Planck. For example, one of our students did the internship in Max Planck and now is working there as a PhD. So we have to say that we don't have direct partnerships, but we have a great network, and most of our students find jobs mostly after doing a master degree, of course. Yeah. Do you want to add something, John?
No, I think it's similar situation as well. We don't have a contract with AstraZeneca, for example, that says we'll hire 10 of your best students or anything like that. I don't think they have a contract with anyone like that at all. That's not a thing that it really exists. But we do have a good reputation for our students that go out into the world of work and they find work. I would say that it depends what you're interested in. Like if you're interested in research, you generally need a master's. That's not
Yeah.
because you've chosen HÖFDA, that's just because that's how it works. You generally need a master's. If when you complete your bachelor's, then most of the students who I know have got jobs after their bachelor's is in more clinical settings, in hospitals, for example, doing more routine work, which is still a very good job. Then you are yeah, doing those kinds of jobs instead. But if you want to go into research, then you need to think about masters. But that's a requirement for all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and as you say, John, sorry to interrupt you, Andrea. As you said, John, of course, we don't have any contracts, but what I meant is that maybe we don't have any, for example, established partnerships, for example, for thesis work with different companies, but we have a lot of researchers and supervisors that are connected to those industry or companies. So what I meant is that we have a big network and that everything is.
Yes. No, thank you. Thank you so much. I think we have covered all questions. Okay, there's another question here. Can we switch programs if we wish to do so mid-course? This is a question, this is a question for the admissions office. And there are students that they want to change programs, but if they are admitted, for one program, they need to take the first semester at least in that program, and then before the first semester, apply for the second semester to change program. It has happened. It has happened. If there are seats available in the other program, you may switch. Now, how to do it? I mean, it depends. If you are required to pay tuition fees, because not all students are required to pay tuition fees here, right? I mean, EU citizens do not pay any tuition here in Sweden. So if you come from outside the EU or EEA area, then you need to pay tuition. And then you need to check extra courses that probably you have not taken during your first semester. Then there are also questions related to the migration agency and what you have to provide for them, showing that they have passed an amount of credits and all that. So this is another thing that it's better that you contact a study counselor in the admissions office, that they really have expertise in this, and they are the ones who are handling this. But it's possible to submit an application to change program from the first semester to the second semester, and if there are seats available, and if you meet the requirements also of the other program, you can change. Do you want to add anything, Araceli or John, about this?
Yeah, I would like to add that that just keep in mind that if it's a very popular program, usually the seats are not. There are no seats available, but everything can happen, because it can happen as well that some students leave the program that you want to go as soon as there are seats available. So we cannot say yes, definitely, but
Yeah, exactly. We have seen there were students who succeeded at, because there were seats available when they submitted their application in the past, but we cannot guarantee that there will be. And as I mentioned before, biomedicine is a program that is very popular, and not all qualified students can get admitted. Sometimes they are in the waiting list, and I don't know last year how many people there were in the waiting list, something around 80 or 100, something like that. It's generally like that. 80 or 100 qualified applicants, they stay in the waiting list because there are no seats available. This is why I'm telling you to apply to similar program like molecular biodesign. And also, if you're applying to molecular biodesign, I would say that you should put another program, maybe molecular bioinformatics, as your second option as well, because you never know if there are too many students and they cannot admit all qualified students. So that's my recommendation. Yeah, so this
I
was...
just have one thing to add. Sorry, you just sparked my brain then. One, I said it before about you often need a master's for research, and I just wanted to say that is still true, but for bioinformatics, that's less true. And I think all of the bioinformatics from the first year of the program and maybe the second year of the program got jobs in research after their bachelor's. So some did go into their masters because they wished to, but many of them went straight into research with their bioinformatic skills. Of course, I can't guarantee that for the future, but I'm just saying from the experience I've had, that's what's happened.
Great. Thank you. I think we have covered most questions. Do you see any other question, Sarah? Is there anything in the chat or?
No, we seem to have answered everything that I've seen.
Yes, so maybe we should continue. I want to thank you so much to the program directors, both Araceli and Joan. Thank you for joining us.